What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide. Happy Halloween. Welcome to day 31 of the 31 Days of Horror. We have made it my official first, run through of the event, the sort of staple for many YouTubers out there that are, focus on movies and shit like that. Some of the people that I really look up to have done this. And I was always, like I said, skeptical on doing it because, it's a daunting task. It's hard to, it's like, if you look at the grand scheme of things, it's not that hard. It's just committing, So over the years, I've had spells where I don't upload a video for a little while, and and then I kind of regret not doing it because there's lots of stuff I could be talking about, and I'm just really happy that I made it through. I'm happy that a lot of people have stuck around and watched all the videos and left comments and stuff. So shout out to Retro or Die, Michael Brown, Trash Stash, Radioactive Blob Fuel, Cammy, Kayla's watched all my videos. Like, just it's been cool, So I appreciate everybody's audience and support, because this is fun for me, man. It's really fun to shoot shit about these movies that I love. So let's get into it. We got the 31st of October, and got an alarm going off here. We got Frankenstein from 1931, directed by James Whale. I just recently talked about James Whale in the Old Dark House video from a few episodes back. Now, this movie was made prior to that. It was made the same year as Dracula in 1931, which is another film that I did on this list. And, regrettably, I did leave out some directors slash films that I really wanted to put on the 31 days, but it came out the way it did, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. So, shout out to people that got left off, people like Clive Barker, Toby Hooper, just to name two legends, Bernard, forget his name, but, the guy that did Candyman. I even thought about doing Saw, talking about the film Saw, but I never got around to it. So, and there's a few other movies that I didn't really consider horror films, but I thought could fit into the list. But then I thought, why not just make videos after the fact? Movies like Clockwork Orange, movies like Death Wish, movies like Thriller, They Call Her One Eye, all the Fulci films that I love, especially the Gates of Hell trilogy, which I think is like one of the best trilogies out there, next to the Animals trilogy. And I was almost I wasn't gonna do Godfather, but that's a trilogy that is fucking stand up as well. I know people have their mixed opinions on the third one, but especially, if you're talking Godfather 1 and 2, we got masterpieces here, and much like the film in question right now. So Frankenstein, just watched it this afternoon for the first time in maybe the better part of a year, maybe two. It has been a while. This is a movie that I watched way more frequently when I was a kid, and I actually have a tattoo of Frankenstein's monster on my arm, and I love it. I think it's one of the best horror films ever. Like, that's the thing. Like, Dracula and Frankenstein, the same year. Just, you get these two different types of films. Like, this one is more it's more grounded in reality, technically, even though it's about a guy building a working body out of corpses. But it's played out so well, and I think that we owe that all to the amazing cast, in particular Edward Van Sloan, who plays Dr. Waldman, and Colin Clive, who is Victor. Also, like, some people mistake him for Henry. Matter of fact, his name is Henry. I'm mistaking the names right now. With the Hammer films, which are also great, which is another string of films that I wanted to put on the list that I didn't, unfortunately. But I just think those actors are so goddamn good. Like, even all the way around, like, I thought everyone was good. Even like the little girl that played Maria, that is the from the iconic scene where Frankenstein throws her into the water. But Frankenstein is got the mind and body of criminals, but he's technically only a few days old, so he's innocent in some regard. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, when the little girl's throwing the flowers into the water, saying like, "Look, I can make a boat," and he's in on it and he's having fun, and then when he looks down in his hands and he has nothing else to throw in there, and he just picks up the little girl and throws her in there, and then Yeah, like the father. Like even when I was a kid, I thought the father of that little girl was so creepy looking, but when I watch it now, I just feel so bad for him. And like there's that really long shot later on in the film where he's walking into the town with Maria on his arms, and he goes up to the Borgo and he's like, she's drowned, and he's like, why would you bring her here, my good man? And he's like, she was murdered. And then the whole fucking town is just up in arms, and like even Frankenstein is in on it. I love it when the Borgo is kind of like assigning duties. He's like this batch of people go with I think his name was Ludwig, like the father, and then this batch of people go with Frankenstein, and this batch of people come with me, and they're all lighting their torches, and it's an exciting film, but and it's also very cinematic. I forgot how sort of cinematic this film was, and even before I forget, even in the opening title credits, there's this weird, like fucked up display of graphics that are spinning across the screen like these eyeballs and this weird head. And just I love how they leave the whoever played Frankenstein as a mystery in the opening credits. And at the end it says like, a cast this good is worth repeating twice or some shit like that. It's just really good. But the scene that I find one of the most cinematic and most important scenes in this film, other than the, of course, It's Alive scene, which I'll talk about in a second, but later on in the movie, when the monster has got a hold of Frankenstein, takes him into that windmill, like a windmill thing. I think that's what it's called. I'm not yeah, windmill. Obviously, fuck, I should have known that. But there's a scene where they're kind of like playing not Ring Around the Rosie, but like Henry, or excuse me, Victor. You know what's fucked up? I actually forget which name it was in this movie. I believe it was Henry, but he's like Henry or Victor, sorry, is looking through this like spindle thing, and the monster's looking through, and it kind of does a back and forth for a second, and I just felt like, it was almost like the doctor looking at a reflection of himself and the monster looking at a reflection of himself in a weird way, which man, it's just such a like powerful movie in my opinion, like destroying something you don't understand. Like this is like one of the testaments of like, you can't play God, or otherwise you're going to end up with a situation like this. Of course, my favorite scene, I think I enjoy the opening maybe 15 to 20 minutes of the film the most, where the doctor and Fritz, played by Dwight Fry, who's an amazing actor who was also in Dracula as Renfield, and I think he's equally fucking amazing in this film. But at the beginning of the film, it opens up with this funeral happening, and they're like waiting and watching. And there's even like this weird like Grim Reaper statue in that cemetery, which I thought was fucking awesome. And like they're like being quiet, waiting for the guy to dig the or to fill in the hole. Even that guy's like cool looking. Like this old boy that's like filling in the hole. And then he like lights his pipe and he just takes off for the night. And then Henry's like, we've got no time to lose. And they're just digging it up, and like how he like kind of caresses the casket when they finally dig it up, and when they're walking back to the castle and they see the guy that was hung, and he cuts him down. And I love how Fritz is like, here he comes, and then no, he's like, look out. And then he's like, here I come, when he jumps down. Just me and my dad always fucking laughed at that scene. But from there to into the castle, or like little tower as they call it, where he's conducting this experiment, I thought was great. And like how Fritz steals the brain, fucks up and breaks the good bird. Like that whole scene is awesome. It's just fucking awesome. And when he finally gets to the part where the his wife and his friend and the Dr. Waldman character show up, and he conducts his experiment and brings life into his creation, and he has like that almost like like orgasmic expression on his face, like where he's like, it's alive, it's alive, and like, and he's like, oh god, like he knows what it feels like to be God, but just like the way his face is looking, and he's like grinning. And I don't know why I said orgasmic, but I think you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the film. uh yeah, man, this is not one that has any kind of false notoriety. It deserves every bit of respect that it has. And Frankenstein's monster, obviously one of the most iconic symbols of horror. Like even when I think of horror films, when I was younger, because like my dad showed me these movies first, I kind of like like that's why I sort of connected with James Rolfe, the angry Nintendo nerd, is because I remember he used to say how he watched all the classic films first, and like I kind of get that because I remember my dad had four of the well, five technically, but four of like the Universal Monsters tapes, The Mummy, Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein. We watched them all the time, and then it was like straight from there to like Dawn of the Dead, Omega Man, fucking Fulci Zombie, The Blob, Candyman, like all these like very stapled films, and it all started with that love of the Universal films. And like I've said, I believe in the Old Dark House video, man. Like it's such a cozy, comfortable time of the year to be watching these movies because they look chilly. Everything looks like it's cold outside. The winds are always excuse me, howling. There's always like the sound of an oboe. Remember when I was a kid, I said to my dad, "What's that instrument that's making like that brum, 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 like kind of noise?" He's like, "I think it's an oboe." So I've always loved that noise. But yeah, man, like these movies are what I would call soup movies, like movies that you could sit there and eat a bowl of soup to. Like I talked about a million times with the Blob and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Like it's just chicken noodle soup or chicken soup. There was no noodle in it, but and I remember for fuck's sakes, like uh man, I think the Universal monster films are the best example of horror movies. I know like a lot of people and like this is for the people that have watched like all I think what are there's like 30 or 40 of them technically. I don't count them all, because even the ones that I haven't seen, some of the sequels and stuff that I'm not that into, I love the ones that I watched when I was a kid, and that means all the world to me, man. So like with the Freddy movies, I love part one, I love part two and three. The rest of them can fuck off. Halloween, I love one and two. The rest, like you love the ones that you love, and that's sort of like for a while I kind of had like the completionist mentality when it came to collecting, and now I'm just like really honing my collection down to the stuff that I really love. Because there was a time where, I was hitting up the thrift stores all the time and hitting up fucking consignment flea markets and finding all kinds of just if it was horror, I would buy it. You know what I mean? It didn't matter if it looked like shit or whatever. Like Roger Corman fucking 3-pack of movies that like the Wasp Woman, which I fucking hated, and the Killer Shrews, which I hated. Uh, fuck, there's a bunch of those Roger Corman ones, but some people really love them and some people grew up with them. So I get that and I respect that because everyone's upbringing with this shit is different, right? Um, so like to bring up a guy like Moods, who's a guy on YouTube that I really respect. I respect his opinion, but we have varying opinions on certain films and certain types of films. Like he's a big fan of Trauma. I can't fucking watch Trauma. It makes me want to like just pass out or puke. But that's okay because that's what makes it different. Because when he was a kid, maybe he was watching Trauma all the time. Just like the way I was watching Universal monster films. And I remember watching Evil Dead for the first time, or Evil Dead 2 was the first one that I saw. And then me and my cousin rented Evil Dead 1 from a variety store. And we actually felt like that movie was less scary, mainly because there was more people in it. For the most part of the film, obviously, other characters show up later on, but it's a really cool like hobby or obsession, if you want to call it that we have here because it's all make believe, but it's like a good piece of escapism, and it's collecting the movies is like doc or keeping an archive of these movies, especially in the day and age we live now with all these everything's getting canceled and all that kind of stuff. So this is totally unrelated, but like Grand Theft Auto is getting like released again, and I've talked about it a million times. I'm not like the biggest gamer anymore, but apparently like a lot of the songs, like they lost the license to a lot of songs. So I couldn't imagine watching or playing like Vice City and not hearing some of those songs and not hearing some of those classic West Coast jams in San Andreas. And like San Andreas like even brought my attention to songs like I believe it's Hank Williams Sr. the song "Hey Good Looking." Like everyone that's like my age knows that song because of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Like, "Hey Good Looking, what you got cooking?" Just because like if you went out into the country and you hopped on like a fucking tractor or whatever, like that song would be playing, or like some of those other ones. But uh I'm getting way off topic. But yeah, there's some other flicks that I wanted to talk about on this list, but I guess next year, And I also, I'm not gonna go through with it this year because I'm not prepared, but I want to do a month of the video nasties. I was thinking about video nasty November, but I did not prepare, and like people that have watched the clown episode, like the reason why I'm sitting here like this is because I fucked up my sciatica or my sciatic nerve. Like it's like a herniated disc kind of thing in my lower back, and it's just like fucking left me useless for like the last week. It's been bullshit. But my girlfriend has definitely fuck. My girlfriend's definitely like came through and helped me out a lot, and came and watched a couple flicks with me and stuff like that. And my mom even came through and fucking fed me a few times. Not fed me like fucking spoon fed me, but hey asshole, here's a sub kind of thing. And that's cool. So, but yeah, don't fuck around with your back. Definitely lift with your knees and do not get sciatica. Otherwise, you will be out of commission for days. But I just want to think of anything else I can cap off this video, the final video of the 31 days. Um, I had a lot of fun. I will do an official sort of recap on everything, but it's to me, these movies are more than movies. They're like um, moments in time that you kind of can't get back, like with the whole Dracula stuff. And like I said, I remember watching these movies at my dad's place on like a fucking rainy night, and just being so immersed in the film. And people talked about maybe because it's black and white that you get these kind of feelings, or I don't know, man. I just feel like it's sort of like I think Kevin Eastman said it best. Watching some of these movies is like hanging out with an old friend. You know what I mean? So like I just mentioned Evil Dead 2, like that's a movie to me that is I could watch pretty much any time, but I savor it. Movies like that, movies like RoboCop, which is totally unrelated, but sort of like these staple films that I really love. Aliens was another one that I might have put it on the list, and American Werewolf on London. Clearly, I'm just naming off titles from my shelf here, but they were movies I thought about, and I wanted to do Demons, but I already did Macabre, and that was one thing that I wanted to make a point of with this list, was to not repeat any directors, and I'm glad I got through it without doing that, because I wanted to give everyone a fair shake. But yeah, man, there's definitely enough movies to do this again next year, and I definitely will, and I'll definitely have a lot of videos coming out in November, because especially if you guys are cool with the format that I'm doing, hopefully by at least like I said, I'm feeling way fucking better right now, and hopefully maybe tomorrow sometime, which is actual Halloween. I'm gonna have my mom, my girlfriend over and stuff like that, and probably my brother and shit, and watch a couple scary movies. But I definitely want to do a live stream soon. I definitely want to do some proper videos of me sitting at the camera, kind of thing, just to get stuff back in the flow. I just like I said, I just did not want to stand in front of that camera and make this video, or like sit at the table on the fucking not to mention, like, I'm fine with sitting at the table, but I gotta move the table around, fucking get the microphone out of the goddamn closet, all that kind of stuff. So, I appreciate everybody for taking part, in this journey with me. And again, like I shouted out some people at the beginning, I think that it's fun. Like I would do these regardless, but it's fun to get the feedback. So definitely, again, shout out Radioactive Blob Fuel, Trash Dash, Michael Brown, Cammy, fucking. I'm trying to think of some other people that were leaving lots of comments and stuff. Pretty much, I got my little crew, and I'm happy with it, man. So, a couple other really cool things I could talk about real quick. Some of us, mainly, I'll save that for another video. There's something exciting coming. Okay, we'll leave it at that. All right. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Definitely leave a 666 in the comments. And with that being said, adios. Have a happy Halloween. Be safe. Do not drink and drive. Do not smoke and fly. Anything like that. You don't want to miss out on next Halloween. You know what I mean? And in turn, fuck other people over, because that's the last thing you want to do. Because at the end of the day, like I've done a lot of thinking in this last week, like being fucking basically on sort of physical restraint, house arrest, if you want to call it that. The most important thing is definitely the people that you love. Keep them around you, kind of thing, because life is a very strange mistress, if you want to call it that. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna watch the rest of my Red Letter Media video that I got playing for a film that I have no intention of ever watching. I just really kind of enjoy these guys. I like listening to them talk. It's entertaining for me. So again, leave a 666 in the comments and adios.